Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody's had a great week so far. We are now 1 week removed from July the 4th, so I think for just about everybody, by this time everything is returning to a bit of normalcy. But today here on the channel, I want to talk some hot seat in the world of college football. We've already talked some Heisman Trophy, and we've already given some predictions, not my predictions, but expert predictions on who will win each conference in college football. So today, I want to talk some hot seat, and this comes to us courtesy of Patrick Kahn from the College Sports Wire. And this article was written on May the 30th. Now, it listed 10 coaches. This is not a top 10 countdown. It just so happens that Patrick Kahn from College Sports Wire did an article on hot seat coaches, and he listed 10 coaches. So I'm going to tell you the 10 that he listed that are according to him on the hot seat, and then I'll give some thoughts on each coach. As always, any thoughts on it, please feel free to let me know. Number 1 on his list is Dave Aranda. Now, do I think Dave Aranda is a great coach? No, I don't. But can I prove that? Not really, because Baylor is the first big-time program he's coached. But I think Baylor's problem is they sucked for so long, and they were lucky to win 2 games a year for 100 years. And then all of a sudden, Art Briles came along, and they become a top 10 football team. And I think they can do that every year, even though that's not realistic. But I think they can do that every year. And that's why Dave Aranda's on this list, because Baylor has pretty much, they've came back down to earth. They're not a 2-win team now, but they're no longer a 8 or 9-win team. They're somewhere in the middle, which is about where Baylor should be. But I think since they had those a couple of good years with Art Briles, they expect that every year, and it's not going to happen. So that's what's gotten Dave Aranda on the hot seat. Now, is Baylor going to win 10 games this year? No. But if that's what it's going to take for Dave to keep his job, then he's definitely on the hot seat, because that's not going to happen. Number 2 on Patrick Kahn's list of coaches on the hot seat is Billy Napier, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Not only Patrick Kahn, but just about every single website, from every single college football website, from every single writer that writes about hot seat, Billy Napier is going to be on that list. Number 3 is Sam Pittman, and I want to say that Pittman's on the hot seat because he should be, but honestly, I thought they'd fire him last year, and they didn't. And I think they're going to be about the same as they were last year. They're not going to be significantly better or worse. They're going to be in about the same spot. So if being average last year didn't get him fired, I'm not sure that being average this year gets him fired. For whatever reason, people love Sam Pittman. So it seems like as long as he has Arkansas treading above water, where they're a 5 or 6 win team, he's going to keep his job because people love him. But I think he's reached his peak at Arkansas. They're not going to be a 9 or 10 win team. I think they're going to consistently be 5-7, 4-8, 6-6 every year. So if they're satisfied with that because they love Sam Pittman, he's okay. If they finally get fed up with that, well, then he'll lose his job. Number 4 is Clark Lee. And I always hate when I see Vanderbilt coaches on any kind of hot seat list, because all their coaches suck. They've had two good coaches in the history of ever at that program, and that was Bobby Johnson and James Franklin. And of course, Bobby Johnson coached there a few years and he retired. James Franklin coached there a few years and he left and went to Penn State. Outside of that, Vanderbilt's always sucked, and they don't take football seriously. I wish they did, because they're right in the middle of a hotbed of great high school talent that they could easily poach away from Tennessee or Memphis or Arkansas, any school in that area if they wanted to. But Vanderbilt's just never taken college football seriously, and that's why I don't understand Clark Lee being on the hot seat. I mean, he should be on the hot seat because he's done next to nothing. But at the same time, if you're not going to take football seriously, why go through a rotating door of coaches when every one of them is going to do the same thing? They're going to come in, have 3 or 4 years of 3-9, 4-8, 2-10, and then you fire them, bring in the next guy. He's going to go 4-8, 3-9, 5-7, 2-10. So if you're not going to take college football seriously, just stick with what you got, because the next guy's going to do the same thing. Number 5 is Will Hall at Southern Miss, and not a lot of people know a whole lot about Southern Miss football, but if you've followed Southern Miss football recently or ever, you see that they have progressively gotten worse every year, so it makes sense for Will Hall to be on the list. Number 6 is a guy that I firmly believe is on the hot seat, and that is Cincinnati's Scott Satterfield. Now, Scott Satterfield was very successful at Appalachian State. He left there and went to Louisville, and he just never got accepted there. The fans, for whatever reason, just never backed him. So before Louisville could fire him, he left and went to Cincinnati, and he's made Cincinnati worse in a couple of years. So if he doesn't show at least some sort of resemblance of improvement, I think he'll be out the door. Number 7 is Joe Moorhead. Now, Joe Moorhead, first of all, has a fitting name because he does have Moorhead. He has the biggest watermelon head you could ever see on a human being. How that man walks upright, I'll never know. But Joe Moorhead is a perfect example of guys that are good coordinators but can't coach. He's been a great OC everywhere he's been, but he was a failure of a coach at Mississippi State, and I think at Akron he's 4-20 in 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, which is an average of 2 wins a year. So if he doesn't win at least 5 games this year, he's out the door. Number 8 is Mario Cristobal from the Miami Hurricanes. Now, if you look at Miami's track record from, the 80s and 90s, they were a top 10, if not top 5 team consistently. But in the 21st century, that has not been the case. They've been stuck in mediocrity for the better part of 20 years. So if you look at where they were 10 years ago to where they are now, they're slowly getting better under Mario Cristobal's watch. So he shouldn't be on the hot seat, but it's Miami, and if you don't go there and win 12 games, they want you fired. But if you look at the on-the-field results, he makes some of the dumbest decisions in the history of the world in game management, especially if it's 2 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, 30 seconds to go. He is awful. But they are improving, and that's why a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about teams winning the ACC, I said Miami has a chance because of the talent, but I just don't trust their coach, because unless they win every game by 3 touchdowns, he's going to blow one somewhere. If the game's on the line, he's going to find a way to screw it up. So are they improving? Yes. But is he a awful game day coach? Also, yes. Number 9, I don't agree with, and that is Lyle Jones, better known as Butch, at Arkansas State. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at his record at Arkansas State, it's slowly getting better every year. I think he won 2 games in year 1 and 4 games in year 2, and then went to a bowl game last year. So he's getting better every year. So I just don't see, especially at Arkansas State, why you're going to fire a coach that's slowly building the program and slowly but surely turning the team into a winning team. It makes no sense to me why you would fire him. Now, I say that because I'm expecting Arkansas State to improve even more this year. But if they come out this year and they go back to being 4-8, 3-9, then yeah, I think Butch Jones will be fired, and Butch Jones should be fired. But since he's showed improvement every single year so far, I don't see why you wouldn't expect improvement this year. And you'd be stupid to look at a coach who is winning more games every year and saying, you know what, you're fired. It makes no sense to me. And number 10 is Sonny Cumbie at Louisiana State. Now, Sonny Cumbie used to be the head coach, not head coach, used to be the quarterback at Texas Tech. And that's back when Mike Leach was there and put up great offensive numbers. And he has tried to implement the same offense at Louisiana Tech, and it just has not worked. And they're trying to show signs of improving. They're trying to show signs of turning it around, but it seems like every time they take one step forward, they go 2 steps back. And Louisiana Tech could easily be a 7-5, 8-4 team every year. I don't think they're going to be a double-digit win team, but the conference they're in, they could be a 7-5, 8-4 team consistently, and they used to be, but they're just not anymore. So if they come out this year and they're 4-8, 5-7, 3-9, I can easily see Sonny Cumbie being shown the door. But he seems like a fun guy. When I've heard him talk, he seems like the kind of guy you'd want to play for, but for whatever reason, it just has not so far translated on the field. So we've got Dave Aranda at Baylor, Billy Napier at Florida, Sam Pittman at Arkansas, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, Will Hall at Southern Miss, Scott Satterfield at Cincinnati, Joe Moorhead at Akron, Mario Cristobal of Miami, Butch Jones of Arkansas State, and Sonny Cumbie of Louisiana Tech being the 10 coaches on the hot seat going into the 2024 college football season, according to College Sports Wire writer Patrick Kahn. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What would a dinosaur's car run on? Fossil fuel. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.